back. Thank you so much for tuning in. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at this package right in here. So what we have in here, it's a MacBook Pro 14-inch 2021. So this is one of the latest MacBook which were released last month. So let's go ahead and open and see how it looks like. So this video is just going to be an unboxing and my first impression, and then we're going to do like a decent proper review video of this MacBook Pro. So let's go ahead and look at our first impression to see how this MacBook look like. So this, of course, the package has been opened, and I always say this, we should actually have a video for this thing that I'm gonna say now. So for insurance purposes, I always make sure that we insure the right product before we even get anywhere. So we have to open it and verify that the serial number is the same serial number that we have on the box, so that we make sure that the right product is the one that's insured. So I haven't done anything on it, I haven't set up anything on it, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pull up the box just to see, and you can see now how it looks from the outside and so forth. So basically it's this little bit of a huge bulky design, as you can see from the box, and then right in here. So this is the slip that I had to put in here because we're verifying that this product has the serial number which is here, which is the same serial number which is here on the box. So that was just for insurance purposes, and obviously this can also work as a warranty. I'm gonna put this aside, and then right in here you still see that the MacBook is sold. So I'm gonna pull this. Oh, this feels good, this feels good. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put this aside, and then what we find in here now is the cable, which is braided and comes in this color. So obviously this MacBook supports the new, well, we're gonna call it new for this time, but it supports the MagSafe charging system, which we had on the previous MacBook before the previous one that we had, which supports Type-C, if you get what I'm saying. But if you're looking at this cable on this side, it's basically Type-C, which connects into the power brick, which I'll show you in a moment. And then on this side, it's a MagSafe, something that we'll talk about as we go along. And then what we find in right here, this is basically the stickers and all the paperwork and stuff. And then the last thing that we find in the box is the charging brick, which is, I believe this is so if you're buying the 14-inch MacBook Pro, you'll basically get a 67 watt, which is different from what you'll get if you buy a 16-inch. So you should be cognizant of that when you're buying this MacBook. So I'm gonna put this back in here. Basically we don't need this, so but for this video's sake, I'm gonna take that out, put it aside, and then let me put this back. And then what we're gonna do is I'm gonna tell you about the internal specification. So let's start it from there before we actually go to the look and feel of how that MacBook look like. So I'm gonna use what is written here on the box. So this is a 14-inch MacBook Pro, which has a 16 gig unified memory, and it has an internal storage of 512 SSD storage. It comes in enhanced with 8-core CPU and then 14-core GPU. So basically that is the display power and the graphics processing. And then it has 14.2 inch in terms of the display. And then I think that's it before I even go further talking about the external factors. But it's basically 512 and then 16 gig unified memory with 8-core CPU and 14-core GPU. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this aside, and then let's look at the machine itself. So let me also put this aside, and let's have this experience of breaking the seal in here. Okay, let's do that. Finally, it's opened. So MacBook Pro, the interesting thing is about this engraved part which is in here, which is MacBook Pro. You basically feel it if you wrap your fingers over in here. And now one thing that you actually notice more is basically the legs, if I should call them that. They are now so visible and big enough for the MacBook to sit just a little bit above the surface, wherever you're gonna put them. And also the screws, you can actually see them that they are very visible from where they're positioned. There isn't nothing else that's actually covering them. And another thing that you notice, it basically has the fans, obviously for thermals on both sides. It's not actually far off from the previous MacBooks that we have. I still have my 15-inch late 2018 model, which maybe at some point we might do a comparison with this one, though they're not the same side, but they're not really far off. And obviously here at the back, it's also another vent for the thermal. So another good looking feature that you see from outside is this black Apple logo that you actually see it here. It's so visible and beautiful when it gets in like a good light reflection. In terms of the portability, this is so light. In terms of how you hold it, it's though heavier than the 13-inch if I were to compare it with that, and this weighs in 1.6 kilogram in terms of weight. So basically you actually feel a little bit of heaviness, but however, obviously this is a new design and everything to enhance and hold and create a room for additional ports that most of the people were actually requesting that they would like to have those things on the MacBook. So let's go ahead and look at those ports, and then we'll go ahead and open it and see how this works. So let's start in on the left hand side. So the first port that you see down here, this is actually the MagSafe port for charging. So basically this is where you actually plug that cable to basically charge the laptop. So it's a fast charge, of course, and it's actually easier for you to pull it and then plug it back in. I'm going to show you in a bit. And then the next thing that you see here, this is the two Thunderbolt 4 ports that you can use it for display, you can use it for charging, as well as for data transfer and so forth. You can still use the previous MacBook charger that you can actually plug in here, but I believe that actually defeats the whole purpose of having the MagSafe, because this port will be taken anyway. So you would like to have this port open for you to actually plug in other peripherals or your display. And it has a 3.5mm jack for audio. So basically this actually support high audio quality. So it's something that I'm gonna test, just that I don't have wired headphones, but I will see what I can get to actually do that. So basically that's it that you find on this side. And then on this side, you're basically finding an SD card slot. Finally, I don't have to get to use the dongles to actually have to copy my video footage on this into this machine. I just have to use an SD card and plug it in here directly, and then I'll transfer my data. Then you also find another Type-C Thunderbolt 4 port here, where you can actually use it for the same purpose. You can charge it, display, data transfer, and so forth. And you've got a full-size HDMI port, which you're going to use it to plug in your display or whatever monitor that you get to use. So basically those are the new changes with the latest MacBook Pros that are available in the market. And then this one in particular, it's going for 37,800 somewhere. Let me see what's this slip say. So according to this slip, it says 37,199. Yeah, 37,199 including VAT. So that's the price with the specification that I've mentioned for you. So let's go ahead and open it. And when you open it, the first thing that you see, obviously, it's gonna go ahead and start itself. So let's just pull this protector and voila. So automatically it's starting itself up. So you basically get to see the Apple logo. This is starting for the first time. It hasn't been set up or anything, so it's welcoming me hello. And yeah, so let's look at the keyboard. So the keyboard now, there's some changes that are in here that you can see. And the first thing that you will notice for me is this keyboard doesn't have a touch bar. For me, honestly speaking,
use English as the main language. Press the return key.
Just shut up. So for me, a touch bar worked better. I feel like it was one of the interesting things that I actually like about the MacBook. I wasn't against it. I still love it, honestly speaking, and I'm still making use of it on my other MacBook, which is still with me. But however, there is a nice feature which is still in here, which is the Touch ID. The Touch ID is still in here. Basically, the power button, which is on this button right here. So you basically will enroll your finger in here, and you basically use this as your power button. I actually like how the keyboard looks. I feel like it's a little bit more spacious, and actually like the black color which goes in even within where the actual keyboard is laid out. It's looking very great. It also looks a little bit different from the hinges if you're looking from this side, and you can actually see a little bit of the fans that allows the air to go up. Obviously this touch pad or trackpad is a bit smaller from the one that I have, because the 15 inch is quite bigger than this. And looking at the screen, yes, this is the 14.2 inch display, which is from here to here. It's a mini LED, which you can scale it up to 120 hertz. It's not something that you can actually really use for gaming. If you're a gamer, this won't really work well for you, but you can try to handle some gaming from there. And another thing that you will notice mostly is the notch. So this actually has a notch, which I actually find it a little bit weird. We used to have notches on the phones, but however, this is something new that we are getting from Apple. And they also have an upgraded 1080p webcam, which basically is going to improve the photography experience or your video experience when you're doing your video meetings or your FaceTime and so forth. So basically, that's it with this MacBook, and this is my first impression. I'm actually liking how compatible and portable this MacBook is, and I'm gonna go ahead and start using it, and I'll give you guys my review and my experience on one of my next coming videos, which I'll also do maybe a comparison with my current 15 inch late 2018 MacBook Pro. So thank you so much for tuning in. If there's anything that you'd like me to cover on my next video, please drop them in the comment section, and I will see you on my next video. Bye.